On October 23, 2019, inside a cryostat cooled to near absolute zero in Santa Barbara, a silicon chip named Sycamore solved a mathematical problem in 200 seconds that would have taken the world's fastest supercomputer 10,000 years to crack. When a machine is finally powerful enough to shatter the mathematical foundations of global security, who gets to turn the key first? A quiet mathematician drafted the execution order for global encryption. Foreign intelligence agencies are stealing exabytes of encrypted data they cannot yet read. And the ultimate weapon isn't built from steel but controlled noise. Right now, every bank transfer you initiate, every classified cable transmitted, and every medical record saved relies on standard public key cryptography. Modern digital locks do not hide secrets with secret formulas, they hide them behind massive arithmetic problems. Can you multiply two numbers together? Easy. Can you take a 617-digit number and calculate its two prime factors? For a classical supercomputer, that prime factoring task takes longer than the age of the universe. That single mathematical asymmetry is the invisible concrete pillar holding up the entire global economy. But what happens when a new type of computer turns that impossible mathematical mountain into an instantaneous calculation? To understand how this nightmare was born, we have to travel back to May 1981 at MIT. A charismatic Nobel laureate took the stage and pointed out a fundamental flaw in physics. His name was Richard Feynman. Feynman told the room full of elite scientists that classical computers were fundamentally incapable of simulating nature. Why? Because nature isn't classical, damn it, nature is quantum mechanical. If you want to simulate a single molecule with just a few dozen interacting electrons, a classical binary computer exhausts its memory immediately. In a classical system, a bit is a light switch. It is either a 0 or a 1. There is no middle ground, no ambiguity, no alternative. But at the microscopic subatomic scale, electrons and photons exist in a state of probability known as superposition. A quantum bit or qubit does not choose between 0 and 1 before it is measured. It exists as a complex combination of both states simultaneously. Imagine flipping a coin. While it rests on the table, it is heads or tails. But while it spins through the air, it is a blur of both states at once. Now couple that spinning coin with another spinning coin miles away through quantum entanglement. Change the rotation of one, and its twin instantly adjusts its state, no matter how far apart they are pulled. Albert Einstein famously called this spooky action at a distance and refused to believe reality worked this way. Was Einstein right to be terrified? For over a decade, Feynman's insight remained a fascinating theoretical curiosity for physics departments. Most engineers assumed a practical quantum computer would remain science fiction forever. Then, in 1994, a quiet 35-year-old mathematician at Bell Labs in New Jersey named Peter Shor ruined everyone's sleep. Peter Shor had a fatal flaw typical of brilliant theoreticians, an obsession with mathematical elegance that made him blind to geopolitical consequences. He was not trying to build a weapon, he was trying to solve a puzzle. In 1994, he published a paper containing what is now known as Shor's algorithm. In 1994, a Bell Labs mathematician accidentally wrote the execution order for global encryption. Shor proved that if you had a quantum computer with enough working qubits, you could exploit quantum interference to factor massive numbers in seconds. The mathematical fortress protecting every credit card transaction on Earth was suddenly rendered theoretical tissue paper. Think of classical computing as a runner searching for the exit in a massive maze. The runner must try path A, hit a dead end, double back, and try path B. It takes years to test every corridor. Shor's algorithm allows a quantum computer to flood the entire maze with water simultaneously. The waves interfere with each other, canceling out wrong dead ends and amplifying the single correct exit route. In one single measurement step, the correct path reveals itself. Before anyone realized the panic, Shor's proof was already sitting on an open public server. If you want to understand how technological breakthroughs reshape our world before anyone else notices, Future Explained breaks down these high-stakes shifts every single week. The math was flawless. But there was just one catch that allowed intelligence agencies to take a deep breath. The physical machine required to run Peter Shor's algorithm didn't exist. In 1994, physicists hadn't even managed to keep 2 qubits stable for more than a few nanoseconds. Prominent physicists openly argued that building a quantum computer capable of breaking RSA was engineering suicide. They claimed subatomic noise would destroy the delicate states before any meaningful calculation could complete. They believed humanity had discovered a theoretical magic trick that reality would never let us build. Were they wrong? For 20 years, quantum research lived quietly in university basements, funded by small defense grants and theoretical curiosity. But while the public forgot about Shor's paper, intelligence agencies were calculating a terrifying timeline. If the hardware ever caught up to the math, every secret locked behind RSA encryption would become immediately transparent. In 2015, major tech corporations and state intelligence services realized something horrifying. You do not need a quantum computer today to pull off the greatest espionage heist in human history. Enter the strategy known inside foreign intelligence services as harvest now, decrypt later. Right now, state actors are intercepting and tapping transatlantic fiber optic cables. They are siphoning off exabytes of raw, heavily encrypted traffic every single day. They cannot read a single line of it today. To current intelligence analysts, it looks like billions of gigabytes of meaningless noise, raw high-entropy junk. But they are not throwing it away. They are saving every single byte in multi-billion-dollar subterranean server farms in desert facilities. They are holding it for Q-Day, the exact moment a fault-tolerant quantum computer reaches 4,096 logical qubits. On that day, every military communication from 2024, every corporate strategic plan, every trade secret, and every encrypted personal message stored in those vaults turns crystal clear. You wake up tomorrow, your bank app won't open, and the NSA already knows the $10 billion heist happened 3 years ago while you were sleeping.
Listen to the stark admission of a former NSA cryptanalyst tasked with monitoring these state-level interception operations.
Do you see the trap? If you are planning a 20-year satellite launch, designing a military submarine, or filing a 30-year patent today, your secret is already exposed. The expiration date on global privacy isn't when Q-Day arrives, it was set the moment state actors started storing your encrypted data. If the encryption protecting the global financial system is already mathematically obsolete, why hasn't anyone pulled the alarm? Because governments are caught in a classic prisoner's dilemma. Admitting that current RSA encryption is a ticking clock would trigger a global economic panic before a replacement system can be deployed. So behind closed doors, a frantic multi-billion-dollar war is being fought between two distinct hubs. In Santa Barbara, California, commercial tech giants like Google and IBM poured hundreds of millions into superconducting circuits. Their approach relied on silicon microchips etched with microloops of aluminum that become frictionless superconductors when chilled to near absolute zero. Meanwhile, in Hefei, China, the Chinese central government took a radically different path. They constructed the National Laboratory for Quantum Information Sciences, a massive 37-acre research facility funded by a direct $10 billion state investment. While American companies chased commercial applications like material science and drug discovery, China's state-directed program focused heavily on quantum key distribution and immediate military network hardening. Two parallel paths, private enterprise vs state-controlled mobilization. In October 2019, Google fired the first shot that turned this secret technological rivalry into a loud public war. Inside a suspended copper cryostat chilling its processor to 20 millikelvin colder than deep interstellar space, Google's 53-qubit Sycamore chip performed a specific random number sampling task in 200 seconds. To put that number in perspective, Summit, the world's most powerful classical supercomputer built by IBM at Oak Ridge, would have needed 10,000 years of continuous processing power to execute the exact same task. For the first time in human history, a machine had utilized the strange rules of quantum reality to vastly outpace every classical computer on Earth combined. The threshold known as quantum supremacy had officially been crossed. When a reveal like this proves that the technological paradigm has fundamentally shifted, Future Explained is here to break down what it means for your financial and personal security. Immediately, competitors pushed back. IBM published a paper claiming Google had exaggerated. With clever algorithmic tweaks, Summit could theoretically solve the problem in 5 days rather than 10,000 years. But IBM's pushback missed the bigger point. Whether the gap was 10,000 years or 2 days, the trajectory was undeniable. Exponential curves do not wait for human debate. Somewhere in a server farm in Hefei or Fort Meade, your darkest digital secrets are sitting in a vault, just waiting for the right key. We aren't just racing to build a new computer. We are racing against a ticking clock that retroactively exposes every secret we've ever kept. If Google possessed a 53-qubit machine in 2019, why haven't they already cracked RSA 2048 and taken down the global banking system? Why didn't Q-Day happen yesterday? The answer lies in the extreme, maddening fragility of quantum states, a phenomenon known as decoherence. Quantum superposition is not a robust mechanical state. It is a delicate dance of wave probabilities. A single stray photon passing through the room, a fraction of a degree change in temperature, or even a Wi-Fi signal from a nearby smartphone hitting the processor causes qubits to instantly lose their quantum state. They collapse back into ordinary, boring classical zeros and ones. To prevent decoherence, scientists must isolate these processors from the universe itself. They place the chips inside multi-stage dilution refrigerators cooled to 0.015 Kelvin colder than the void of deep space. They wrap the tanks in thick mu metal shielding to block Earth's magnetic field. They bury laboratories underground to screen out cosmic rays. But even inside these artificial Antarctic vaults, noise bleeds in. This exposes the fundamental paradox of quantum computing. To make a qubit perform a calculation, you must interact with it. But the moment you interact with it, you risk destroying the very state that gives it its power. How do you control a physical system without touching it? This brings us to the ultimate engineering battleground: quantum error correction. A noisy physical qubit might fail once every 1,000 operations. To build a single stable, error-free logical qubit that can run Shor's algorithm for hours without crashing, you need thousands of physical qubits working together as a hive mind. To shatter RSA 2048 encryption, you do not simply need 4,096 physical qubits. You need 4,096 logical qubits. And that means building a machine with anywhere from 1 million to 10 million physical qubits. The victor of this Cold War isn't who builds the biggest processor, but who conquers the noise. The engineering leap from 50 noisy qubits to 1 million error-corrected qubits sounds like an impossible wall. But look at computing history. In 1946, the ENIAC computer filled a 1/800-square-foot room, weighed 30 tons, and used 18,000 vacuum tubes that burned out every few hours. Experts in 1946 claimed classical computing could never scale because vacuum tubes were too unreliable. Then came the silicon transistor in 1947. Within 40 years, those 18,000 bulky vacuum tubes were replaced by billions of microscopic transistors on a single coin-sized chip inside your pocket. We are currently living through the vacuum tube era of quantum computing. The chandeliers in Santa Barbara and Hefei are the ENIAC of our generation. The quantum transistor moment hasn't just been theorized, it is already happening in stealth labs. Consider neutral atom quantum computing and silicon photonics. Instead of chilling superconducting wires down to absolute zero, companies like Era and Sycamore are using arrays of lasers to trap individual rubidium atoms or guide single photons through room temperature silicon chips. In late 2023, Harvard researchers working with neutral atom systems demonstrated 48 logical qubits, a massive leap forward in error correction density that bypassed superconducting hardware entirely. While the world was looking at superconducting cryostats in Santa Barbara, optical and atomic systems proved that error correction can scale orders of magnitude faster than pessimists predicted. What happens when these scalable architectures reach industrial semiconductor fabrication facilities? When silicon fabs begin pumping out quantum photonic chips using existing lithography machines, the leap from 100 logical qubits to 10,000 will not take decades. It will take months. This brings us right back to our central question. When a machine is finally powerful enough to shatter the mathematical foundations of global security, who gets to turn the key first? Will it be a commercial enterprise in Silicon Valley that publishes its achievement in a peer-reviewed journal? Or will it be a subterranean intelligence installation in Hefei or Fort Meade that keeps the breakthrough silent? Consider the terrifying incentive of a covert breakthrough. If a state intelligence agency reaches 4,096 logical qubits in secret, they will not announce it. They will not claim quantum supremacy on news networks. They will silently plug that quantum engine into their harvested data vaults. They will decrypt every diplomatic wire, every corporate banking ledger, and every electrical grid defense protocol without firing a single missile or leaving a single digital trace. The ultimate weapon is not a nuclear device that leaves a crater, it is an invisible key that opens every door on Earth simultaneously. Is there any defense left against this impending mathematical collapse? In August 2024, after 8 years of intense competition, the United States National Institute of Standards and Technology released the world's first official post-quantum cryptography standards. These new algorithms, like Crystal's Kyber, do not rely on prime numbers. They hide data inside high-dimensional mathematical grids called lattices. Even a quantum computer running Shor's algorithm cannot find shortcuts through these multidimensional geometric mazes. But deploying new cryptography across every bank, smartphone, power plant, and defense server on Earth is the largest software migration in human history. It will take 15 to 20 years to complete. And here is the terrifying mathematical truth. Q-Day does not need to wait 15 years. If a fault-tolerant quantum computer lands in 8 years, the window between the weapon and the shield is 7 open years. 7 years where every vault is unlatched and every legacy network is wide open. When that blackout lab in Hefei hits 4,096 logical qubits, the silicon chip in Santa Barbara won't just be a 200-second record holder. It will be remembered as the prototype that unlocked every vault on Earth. We spent the last century trying to understand the rules of reality. But the nation that builds the first fault-tolerant quantum computer won't just understand those rules, they will rewrite them. If you want to stay ahead of the breakthrough technologies reshaping geopolitics and global security, hit subscribe to Future Explained. We break down how the future is actually being built every single week.